All through the past 3 weeks, all Arsenal can focus on in terms of income is Mikel Merino. And yet, as I'm recording this, Fabrizio Romano is still yet to give the here we go for Mikel Merino to join Arsenal. Now, I'm sure it will be announced sooner rather than later, but just like with the Calafiori situation, it's really starting to drag on. But over the last couple of days, according to several reports, Arsenal looks set to sign yet another Spaniard from La Liga, in 23-year-old goalkeeper from Espanyol in Joan Garcia. The talk is that if Arsenal manage to get rid of Aaron Ramsdale during the last bit of the window, which it is looking more and more likely that he will leave, then Joan Garcia will be the man to replace Aaron Ramsdale and essentially join the Arsenal team as our backup goalkeeper. With Arsenal having already agreed personal terms with the Spanish goalkeeper, it's looking likely that that will be the case. But is this a good move for Arsenal, and is Joan Garcia even a good goalkeeper? And if so, well then how will this all work out? Well, that's what we'll be talking about today. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Gunner Central here. I hope you're all doing well. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Born in Barcelona, Joan Garcia joined Espanyol's academy in 2016. Garcia made his senior debut for the reserves in 2019 and made his first team debut in December 2021, making his La Liga debut just weeks later in January 2022. The 6-foot goalkeeper in Joan Garcia was essentially the backup goalkeeper for Espanyol during their season last season in the second division, sitting behind ex-Alaves and Real Madrid goalkeeper in Fernando Pacheco. But after being the second choice goalkeeper for every game during the league season last season, on the 2nd of March, Fernando Pacheco was left out of the squad for personal reasons, allowing Joan Garcia to get his first league start of the season after making 3 starts in the Copa del Rey earlier on in the season. Garcia would then never look back and quickly assert himself as the starting goalkeeper from that game forward, starting every single game until the end of the season, including playing all 4 playoff games for Espanyol and keeping a clean sheet in 3 out of the 4 games to help Espanyol get back to La Liga. Even seeing Garcia start ahead of Fernando Pacheco in the first game of the La Liga over the weekend. Out of the 21 games that Joan Garcia managed to play last season for Espanyol, he managed a very impressive 12 clean sheets and conceded just 10 goals in 21 games. Joan Garcia was in the 99th percentile last season in his save percentage, his goals against, his clean sheet percentage, his crosses stopped percentage, and he ranks really highly as a sweeper keeper. And Joan Garcia also has a very high post-shot expected goals ratio. Very impressive things to see from a young goalkeeper. Despite not being all that big of a goalkeeper, Joan Garcia is still very surprisingly very impressive at claiming crosses and just being in charge of his penalty area as a whole. Joan Garcia is still a very good shot stopper, he's very good at his feet, and at the age of 23 years old, he's still very young for a goalkeeper. Now, one thing that's not debatable at all is that Arsenal do need to let Aaron Ramsdale go, preferably this summer. Last season, we saw Aaron Ramsdale sit on the bench all season long, and all it really does is just tank his value. So if we can sell him now in these last couple of days of the window, well, that'll be very awesome. Now, apparently it might be a loan with an obligation to buy, but with this point, with a week and a bit left in the window, it's kind of what we will have to do, and I won't really mind that all that much, even though, as you guys know, I'm a big fan of rather selling them right then and there, as opposed to a loan with an obligation to buy. But that's one thing, we have to get rid of Aaron Ramsdale in these last couple of days of the window. Now, if I'm being 1000% honest, I would have preferred Arsenal to go and get a more experienced goalkeeper to come play as a backup. Someone like Wojciech Szczesny I thought would be an awesome solution. I mean, he's a free agent right now, he's experienced, he's played in tons of Champions League games before, and of course he's an ex-Arsenal player, which is always awesome to see as a storyline. So I think that would have been a better, more preferred option in my opinion, to go get an experienced goalkeeper. But I can still certainly see why Joan Garcia would be a first choice for Arsenal. Again, he's very young at the age of 23. It's still very young for a goalkeeper. He has very good underlying numbers for a goalkeeper. He's proven with his feet that he's good enough with his feet, which is a huge aspect for Arteta. And overall, I can definitely see an upside for Garcia in the next couple of years. Now, apparently there is rumors that Liverpool are also interested in Joan Garcia, but I don't think that'll happen with Liverpool apparently securing the Valencia goalkeeper. In my eyes, it's a little bit of a risk to go for Joan Garcia. I mean, he isn't an amazing goalkeeper, at least not yet. Kind of like when we got Renison from France. Now, that being said, Renison was a backup goalkeeper his whole time, whereas Joan Garcia has now cemented himself as a starting goalkeeper in a La Liga team. But there is certainly a risk to it. Now, again, I know he's 23, so he does have an upside, but there is a risk that Garcia isn't an amazing goalkeeper right now. He might never become one, but I do think he will be a very decent level backup. Now, he's not going to be the same level quality of a backup as Aaron Ramsdale, far from it, but he should be an okay level backup, especially at the age of 23. He'll be behind David Raya, so he can learn a lot over the next couple of years, and maybe by the time Joan Garcia becomes 26, 27, he might be good enough to maybe potentially push David Raya. I mean, you'd hope so by then. Look, it's a little bit of a risk. I would have preferred a more experienced goalkeeper to come in to replace Aaron Ramsdale, especially like we've seen with Man City, that having a good backup goalkeeper is instrumental at times, especially if your main goalkeeper gets injured. But I think Joan Garcia is a serviceable backup, a good young 23-year-old Spanish goalkeeper. I just would have preferred maybe a more experienced goalkeeper to come in and to play as our backup.